Hello, everybody. Welcome to the From the Sidelines podcast. My name is Noah Tyree, and I'm here with Chad Davis, Devin Davis, and Josh Duvall.
How's it going?
And today, we're going to talk about some sports. Feel free to follow us on our Instagram and Twitter at the FTS Pod. Don't forget to subscribe to our iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube accounts. And send in questions or comments to us at theftspod@gmail.com. And let's go ahead and get this started.
All right, so guys, how have your days been?
It's been peachy.
Well, I don't care because we got some sports to talk about. Kicking it off with the national championship game of the NCAA Monday night between the Virginia Cavaliers and the Texas Tech Red Raiders. What are your all's opinions on that?
Not gonna lie, I thought it was gonna be a bad game, and it looked like it was headed in that direction in the first few minutes. But then it actually picked up, and I actually enjoyed watching it.
Agreed. The game started out with both teams shooting a combined 1 of 10 from the field, but yet when overtime, I saw nobody complaining. Did you all complain? I wanted overtime. I did.
I more basketball for me. I'll take that.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, it was a great overtime.
Once that game's over, NCAA is no more until next year. So
spoil me with as much basketball as you want.
Honestly, I thought that Virginia could have won by like way more. I thought they should have won by like 20, but because their offensive rebounding was insane against the Texas Tech.
Yeah, Texas Tech did not rebound very well.
No,
Virginia had so many second chance points. It was insane.
Agreed.
How about your guy Matt Mooney though? He showed up.
Matt Mooney only got 10 points that game, which is I being a big Matt Mooney fan and getting 10 points in just a little bit over 40 minutes kind of makes it hard for some fandom. But I guess everybody has a bad night. Maybe not on the nights to have bad nights, but I guess that's the case. I still stand hard in my fandom.
Speaking of bad nights, Jarrett Culver didn't really show up again.
He did at the end of the game a little bit, but that's probably where his 5 field goals came from. The other 22, they didn't go in. So,
well, he hit some nice shots. I thought that spinning layup towards the end of the game to kind of what we thought ice it was. I thought that was really nice on him. But other than that, he's really inconsistent, like J.R. Smith inconsistent. Just from these final 2 games alone, I thought.
Was the stage too big for him? Like, was just the Final Four stage just too big for him?
I think it was the defensive attention, just being such a prominent, prolific scorer on a team where Matt Mooney is your second best player.
Absolutely. Once you take that vocal point off of him, it's really hard for Texas Tech to get going. We found that out, I think.
Francis, though, off the bench, he had 17.
Yeah, very big spark plug for that game. Him and Mooney, for the shots he did hit, are the reason they were in that game.
I agree.
Yep. But I will say this, that another person that for Virginia kept him in the game was certainly DeAndre Hunter. I think that's unanimously agreed, correct?
Yep. 27 points, 9 rebounds. He went off, and he shot 4 or 5 from 3.
And including the go-ahead 3 with 2 minutes left in overtime.
Hey, I got one thing to say. Onions! Yeah.
Oh, more outrageous calls by Jim Nance. Thank you.
That's part of March Madness.
To me, guys, I wanted to ask you all this question. Out of the big 3 with Hunter, Guy, and Jerome, which one do you think played a bigger part out of the whole game? Because Kyle Guy did get the outstanding player after the game, but I felt like DeAndre Hunter played a big part. I just want to know your thoughts.
I think in the championship game, DeAndre Hunter definitely played the best. But I think between the two, like the Final Four game and championship game, between both of those, I would go with Kyle Guy, just because he's the reason they got to the championship. Without him, like, they wouldn't have been there.
Yeah, I think Kyle Guy, just because he was the more consistent player.
Yeah, there's definitely a reason we point him as the GOAT in episode 2.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, he's a big old GOAT.
And talking as Virginia as a whole, this was only the 3rd Final Four appearance in the history of the program but yet has always battled with the defining the dominance between Duke and North Carolina and them. Seeing how they came from the lowest of lows, losing to a 16 seed last year, and to now beating, overcoming the odds of the Duke super team and North Carolina and Nasir Little. Do you think that they took over the ACC as of right now?
I still think Duke and North Carolina are the powerhouses of the ACC.
Like,
You know they're going to be great every year, and Virginia is usually good every year, but they're kind of hard to predict sometimes.
yeah, and like you said, they've only been to the Final Four 3 times. Like, think about how many times North Carolina and Duke have throughout history.
Yep, absolutely.
Can't beat those blue blood schools. They're.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the ACC hasn't been that good as people think, especially the bottom half of the league. Like, the top half is still amazing. I mean, they got 3 1 seeds in the tournament, but the bottom half has just not been as good.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on the controversial review to switch the possession from Texas Tech to Virginia and essentially ice the game?
Are we going to talk about the
Are you talking about the out of bounds call?
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's what I think about it. It was I think there was an obvious foul on Kyle Guy because before the ball even rolled out of bounds, Kyle Guy grabbed his arm, preventing him from getting the ball. So the out of bounds call should have played zero effect in it at all because there was a foul before it went out, but they just missed that. I guess standing 2 feet away from the player is not far enough for the refs, so they need to get a little closer. I don't know.
I definitely don't think it was like indisputable evidence though to overturn the call.
Definitely not.
You could not tell if his pinky was in contact with the ball. A microsecond review should not be something that determines a game of that magnitude.
And it's not like his hand changed the direction of the ball, because when Hunter hit it out of his hands, it kept going in the same direction. So maybe it skimmed off his finger. I don't know. It was hard to tell. He got hacked on the arm before that, which set that play up in the first place. So the least they could do is give Texas Tech the ball back.
Exactly.
That's just what I think. But
I agree.
Obviously, they thought differently.
Well, I feel like the refs of that game is just a whole subject in a whole, but we'll
I think the refs throughout the whole tournament have not been that great. Throughout the whole year have not been that great. I for one have quite a bit problems with the refs. For one, defenders grabbing and holding and hacking players without whistles being blown, aka Kyle Guy there at the end of the game. Drawing the most absurd charges, like I can't tell you how many times a player will drive to the basket and the defender will lean on top of them and then fall over, and then they would get called with a charge. So yeah, I'm sorry. I just needed to rant about the rest because I don't think they've been good. What do you all
Did you all think let's see, DeAndre Hunter, I think, was facing towards the basket, and then one of the Texas Tech guards was driving, and then he turns around and takes the charge right as the Texas Tech player, I can't think of his name,
absolutely
got to him. Was that a charge to you all?
No, his feet were not set even near.
No.
You could still see his ankle turning in the replay to get set.
Exactly.
No, he was not set in the least bit, and there's no argument to it.
Okay, I was just making sure I wasn't the only one because I know the commentators and Gene Steratore thought it was a good call, but I'm just over here like, absolutely not.
He didn't even lower his shoulder, and the defender clearly wasn't even set. So,
yeah, absolutely.
What are our thoughts on the tournament as a whole?
I felt like it was a good tournament for what it was. I felt like there was a lot of close games between the lower and high seeds, but a lot of calls kind of prevented it from being a better tournament,
There were a lot of close games, a lot of games that went into OT and games that were won by single digits, and I feel like, I agree. I think some of the refs played a factor in those games determining wins, but overall I feel like it was pretty good.
I definitely thought the first weekend was a bit subpar. Very chalky, a lot of blowouts, a lot of low-scoring games. But I definitely think once the Sweet 16 hit and we had all the top-tier, upper-high seeds going head-to-head, it was definitely a great tournament for the past 2 weekends.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I didn't really enjoy particularly the first 2 rounds, but once the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 with all the top-tier teams went at it. That I enjoyed watching those games.
I felt like the first 2 rounds had a lot of chokes, a lot of giving up leads. Belmont, Gardner Webb, a lot of teams that could have made some history in the tournament. They let that go, and I don't know how to really feel about it. I felt like they could have made the tournament a lot more watchable. You know what I mean?
The Louisville game as well.
Absolutely,
Tennessee
good point.
Almost blew the lead against Iowa.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Tennessee against Purdue. Or no, Iowa. You're right.
It was Iowa. Yeah.
They're both black and gold, yellow, whatever.
Same thing. Yeah, no, they're the same thing.
But no, that was a remarkable comeback by Iowa. Like the way that first half was going in that game, Tennessee was just dominating them. I didn't see any way Iowa was going to come back, but they did. So, Brandon McCaffrey, good job. Coaching the team up at halftime. Try not to yell.
Let's move on to some NBA. I wanna hear your opinions on this. Dwayne Wade or Paul Pierce?
Wade.
Yeah, Wade.
All right, we're on to the next segment. To Dwayne Wade and Dirk Nowitzki, how about their final games?
I just feel old even talking about this. I really do. And I feel like they're the last of a blue-collar champion that comes in the league and tries to get what they want, not go and have it handed to them by a super team.
Yeah.
And I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I agree. They're two of the most loyal players that you can think of, especially in the NBA now, with players like going to team after team, trying to find a super team. I think, Dwayne and Dirk definitely stuck to their roots and really tried to earn their championship rather than just go somewhere and have it handed to them.
Yeah, Dirk played his entire career with Dallas. I commend him for that. That's applaudable.
Yeah, he's the third player all time with 30,000 career points with one franchise.
14-time All-Star, 16-time Player of the Week, 6-time Player of the Month. 16-time Player of the Week, 12-time All-NBA. Third in career games, 6th in all-time scoring, tallest player to reach 1,500 threes, which I didn't think I'd hear a stat like that. 21 seasons and a 50-40-90 club.
Yeah, he is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely insane, especially for a man that's 6'11", 7 foot, draining threes like nothing.
He's 7 feet, and one of the greatest experiences I've had watching Dirk is when they beat the Miami Heat in the championship. That was unbelievable. I
think it's unanimous.
Is crazy.
I think across this country, not just in this podcast, guys, that Dirk's one ring has more equivalence than KD's 2. And
for sure.
No doubt.
Definitely.
And how about each of their last home games last night? They each scored 30 points each.
Insane. That's awesome.
And not to mention, Dwayne Wade drops a triple-double tonight in Brooklyn, and Dirk Nowitzki drops 20 and 10.
That's a great way to go out. That's an amazing way to go out.
That makes me long for the old days. That it really does.
I remember when I was a kid watching those two players. It makes me sad that they're retiring, except for when Dwayne Wade went off against Kentucky in the tournament that one year. But
that was rough. That was rough. He was an All-American in college, so I guess I'll accept it. So. Well, speaking of Dwayne Wade, his career stats are equally as good as his. Especially his 2008-2009 year, where he ultimately should have got MVP. He got a career high in 55. First in a 2-point field goal percentage attempted with 1461. First in 2-point field goals made with 766. His 2008-9 year is one for the ages. It absolutely is.
I agree.
30 points a game, 36.2 usage percentage, and third in MVP shares. It can go up there with one of the greater seasons that a player can have.
Prime Wade was amazing. He definitely ranks probably third best shooting guard of all time.
Yep.
I have zero doubt in my mind about that.
Absolutely.
You know what I really like? I like Big Baller Brand. I like LeVar Ball. I think they're pretty cool. You know who plays on the Lakers? Lonzo. Isn't that cool? Yeah.
You know what's not cool? The Los Angeles Lakers this season.
Yep.
And that's about all we're saying about the Lakers season.
I guess we should just start off with the daily news. Magic Johnson stepping down from the Lakers. I think his sole job was to get LeBron. It was, and he succeeded ultimately.
And he failed.
Yeah, he failed in every other aspect, but you get LeBron to LA, so good for you. The Anthony Davis trade fiasco. Now, does anybody have the trade from there? Anybody?
The entire Lakers team for Anthony Davis.
Their picks for the next 4 years. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, Lonzo, Kuzma, Rondo, picks. For Anthony Davis. Yep.
Yep, absolutely. Your medical training staff costed you 212 games between your players. That shouldn't even happen.
Is
Yeah,
that right?
no, I agree.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
I've never heard of a stat like that. Have you?
I also think the Lakers are just toxic because when you look at the success that players like D'Angelo Russell and Julius Randle and Brooke Lopez have had as soon as they leave the Lakers, it's really mind-boggling.
Yeah, I really wish Julius Randle would have stayed for the Lakers. It would have been very, very good for them because he was a double-double machine.
Yeah, imagine if LeBron had Julius with his double-doubles every night.
And D'Angelo.
Yeah, imagine just those moves. Imagine Brooke. If he was making the threes he's making this year for Milwaukee. All these moves could have helped LeBron. And right now, we could be saying the Lakers are a third seed in the West.
hey, you gotta give Magic Johnson credit though. He traded D'Angelo Russell to get some cap space so he could sign, Lance Stevenson, Rajon Rondo.
Yeah.
Just the stars and studs.
The stars of the league, yeah.
Prime time
That's
all
why
stars.
You're
Right.
getting rid of D'Angelo Russell to get rid of Mozgov's contract. Get some cap space.
Yeah, those are the moves that matter.
Building a super team in themselves.
Couldn't land Paul George. Not gonna land Kawhi. It's a disaster.
Yeah. I don't see the Lakers doing anything. What do you all think? What are your expectations for next season for the Lakers in the off season?
I really can't say anything until free agency gets here. I want to see if LeBron brings in the next, Kawhi or somebody, or they're going to bring in. I honestly can't even name a free agent.
Did they make the AD trade?
I'm sorry?
Did they make the AD trade this summer?
I feel like Boston's going to put up a better fight for that. I feel like Kyrie has better influences towards Boston because they're trying to build their own legacy up away from LA with their rivalry going on. I feel like that's a whole different case.
I also think that the way that trade went around the first time around, or that embarrassment, I should say, I don't know if they're going to come to an agreement.
I don't think they will either.
That kind of shows instability, doesn't it, within the franchise? Just that trade alone. Like they could blow the contract they give to Anthony. Like right now, they're kind of doing with LeBron, but that's a different.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to see Anthony Davis play for Boston, though. That would put the East back on the map for sure.
Absolutely. What do you think about the other LA team making the playoffs and not this one? Does that show that Magic Johnson's tenure kind of failed?
Well, the Clippers, they used to have DeAndre Jordan, Chris Paul, Tobias Harris, all these good players that they traded away. And I just think that they're scrappy. They're a scrappy team. They're a team you don't think of being good or a playoff team, but they've surprised this year. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, they were sellers at the trade deadline, moving Tobias Harris for the 2021 Miami Heat pick, which is very coveted. But I definitely think that when you have a solid sixth man of the year every year in Lou Williams, and you have players like Gallinari and Beverly who are just kind of scrappy. Montrezl Harrell came onto the scene this year. Definitely some just solid under the radar players that definitely stepped up for the Clippers this year in kind of an underappreciated respect, I would say.
Agreed. And their ball movement is so smooth. Like, the only way a team like that can get to the playoffs is if they pass the ball and play as a team, and that's definitely what they've been doing.
Absolutely, and I think that's what Doc Rivers installs into his team, doesn't he? He did that with the Boston team a decade ago. You feel old yet?
Oh yeah, Paul Pierce was on that team. He's better than Dwayne Wade. Did you know that?
Oh yeah, I heard that.
And it's good to know that Doc Rivers can do this with any team and not just that team. But speaking of Doc Rivers, let's move on to the postseason awards. And since we're talking about him, I guess we'll start with Coach of the Year. What are your all's thoughts?
Mike Budenholzer.
Really?
Yep. They're the Bucks, and they're the first seed in the West or the East. I'm like, the Bucks, like before they got Giannis, have they ever been good in recent years?
Solid, but they've never been a 1 seed in the East solid.
They've never been a powerhouse in the NBA like they are this year.
No, you're exactly right.
I mean, the roster was very similar to last year when Jason Kidd was a debacle of an experiment.
Yeah, well, that's also the other factor in this. Last year was Jason Kidd. This year's Mike Budenholzer. So
I think Mike Budenholzer will win, but if it's not him, my only other guess would be Mike Malone, because I think the Nuggets have done outstanding this year, and the way Jokic has improved his game is insane, and I just think they've done really good as well.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Mike Malone either.
I don't have a problem with Mike either, but I also like we were talking about earlier. Doc Rivers has a shot at this because he led the Clippers, not the Lakers, the team everybody thought was a guaranteed 3rd seed in every draft, every mock playoff picture there was, and showed that through team perseverance and through ball movement, like Josh had said, you can get anywhere in this league. And now they're in the playoffs like nobody ever thought. So
Definitely.
Maybe Doc Rivers.
That's my second candidate behind Coach Bud.
Well, also with Coach Bud, like Chad has a very valid point with him because Milwaukee can play any style of ball efficiently and keep up with the best because of Mike Budenholzer's operations. They can shoot with Houston, shoot the 3 ball all night. They can play bully ball when they want to go small and spread the floor, or they can also spread the floor when they want to go big with D-Cuz and I guess 37-year-old Andrew Bogut. but
Oh boy.
Yeah, but outside of those two, I don't see any competition for coach. Maybe Mike Malone, like you said, but.
All right, guys, what do you think? What are your predictions for most improved player?
I'll go D'Angelo Russell or Pascal.
I'm going Pascal. I'm going
Pascal Siakam. Yes.
Usually I like to disagree with you all, but I'm gonna go Siakam as well.
Well, yeah. I'll throw D'Angelo in there because he led a Brooklyn team to the playoffs. That's enough to say right there. True. No more to say. And he's had career highs across the board, averaging 21, 7, and I think 5. Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, Pascal, when he gets a double-double, is 14 and 3 with Toronto, and he's doubling his scoring averages. So exactly. I can see both arguments here.
He had like 7 points a game last year, and this year he's averaging 17.
Siakam is one of those players that kind of just came out of nowhere, and he's such an important part of the way the Raptors have been able to play this year. And going back to D'Angelo Russell, he's added 4.5 points per game and added 2 assists per game over last year's stats.
And when you think about Siakam not playing organized basketball until he's 18, coming out of Cameroon, playing in the WAC rather than a Power 5, and still being a first-round pick, I mean, he's definitely made the jump this year with an impressive shooting split of 55, 37, and 79. So when you think about those percentages from a big man, only his 3rd season, he's definitely made a huge jump this year.
All right, up next, what do you all think about the 6th man of the year?
Lou Will, no comp.
Lou Williams.
Yep. All right.
Lou Williams.
All right. Once again, we're on to the next segment. All right. What do you all think of Rookie of the Year?
Can I go Luka without Trae Young being brought into this, or is that not a thing?
I agree.
I think we all agree that it should be Luka, but I'm just gonna I'm just going to talk about Trey as to why he should not be.
Okay.
Okay.
Sit back and
Trae
relax.
Young has, as the first half of his rookie season, had an incredibly inefficient shooting performance, just the entire first half of the year. And I'm not sure why people are just dismissing that, because that part of the year counts too. And Luka has been just as good, if not better, the entire year consistently. And I know Trae Young has popped off the past 2 months to finish the season, and he's a horrible defender. Let's be honest. He can't play defense. And I just think Luka is by far the obvious choice in my opinion.
Well, there's not many guards that come from overseas, nonetheless, under the age of 20 to become instant television. Like, just because of the way they play and what they average and what they become over here. It's just that doesn't happen.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think the advanced stats really support the case for Doncic over Trae Young. When you look at his value over a replacement player, he leads the rookie class in 3.5. He's second out of the rookie class in box plus minus. And then when you look at his true shooting and effective field goal percentages, he's definitely beating Trae Young in those categories. So I think when you look at the advanced analytics, I'd definitely take Luka.
Yeah. And like Chad said, even though Trae Young is playing absolutely phenomenal these past couple months, there's no denying that. Luka has simply averaged what he has averaged for a longer time, and that just shows consistency over inconsistency. And I feel like that's an argument that nobody can beat.
Exactly.
All right, guys, let's move on to the next one. Defensive Player of the Year. What do y'all think?
Greek Freak?
So
is that what I'm hearing? Or we got some?
I'm hearing Paul George.
Paul George.
Paul George?
Yep.
I'm going to say he did not make my short list.
I can't say he made mine either.
Mine either.
Is this a homer pick, or we got some?
This is my homer pick, actually.
Okay.
I would like to see him win it just because I feel like he is an MVP candidate, but he's also averaging a career high in steals this season, which is something that I think is really impressive because, when looking at Defensive Player of the Year, a lot of the times, it's a big man like Rudy Gobert last year, and they tend to look at the blocks rather than the steals. And I think the way, Paul George defends, I think he should have a shot, but will he win? I don't know.
To me, it's just Defensive Player of the Year is a two-man race between Giannis and Rudy Gobert.
Yep, I can agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Rudy on this. I absolutely agree.
I think Rudy can do it again. I think he's earned it. The way he's played in this league, everybody looks at him as a defensive player, and with his wingspan, he's like a giant, like praying mantis. I don't know. He's just he's insane. Yep, that's my comparison.
I like the analogy.
I was just gonna say he's just this tall tower that stands in front of the basket, and he has the ability to alter just about any shot, and that allows his other teammates to guard the perimeter better since he's so reliable under the rim, so they don't really have to bring any help defense in the paint.
And not only is he a tall tower, but he's a tall tower for the number 2 officially ranked defense in the league with Utah. Mm-hmm. So if you can help your team get to the second defensive part of the league, then you've done something right, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, Rudy is a big guy,
Big guy with big stats.
Guy. All right.
Imagine if Gordon Hayward would have stayed.
Oh my God, Donovan Mitchell, Gordon Hayward, and Rudy. Yeah. That's insane.
Oh, this is something for another time, guys. I could talk about that all day.
All right, and now we jump into the topic that you guys have all been waiting for. Race between two horses, I would say. I don't think there's a wrong answer in this case, but I'd definitely like to hear what you guys think for the MVP.
I think it's Harden or Giannis. Do we agree on that?
Yep.
It's like big freak.
Okay, well, here's my argument for both, and I'm reading this right off my notes. Harden is the better scorer, but Giannis is more accurate. Harden is the better passer and ball handler, but Giannis is the better defender and rebounder. Take Giannis off the Bucks, and they're lucky to make it to an A seed. Take Harden off the Rockets, and they're lucky to make it to an A seed. Harden has had the most historic scoring season since Wilt, and it's not even debatable. But Giannis has led a Bucks team that no one even thought would get to, a 4th seed? To over 60 wins in a 1st seed in the Eastern Conference. This argument can go both ways, and I honestly can't choose.
I'm taking Giannis.
Why?
Why? Because he took that Bucks team to the 1st seed, and he's averaging almost 28 points. He's averaging 12.5 rebounds and 6 assists. And being a power forward, averaging 6 assists is awesome. And nonetheless, his rebounds and scoring, I think that's just incredibly efficient at the rate he's doing it at. His field goal percentage is a career high. He's just balling out, and I think he deserves it.
Hey, Josh, can you tell me the one player in NBA history that's averaged the same stat line that Giannis has put up this year?
I don't know.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, averaging 27, 12, 5, and a block shot per game. Definitely some elite company when you look at Giannis's case for MVP.
Well, I think if you're in the company of the all-time leading scorer in the league, I think that's pretty elite.
My thing against Harden, he's too big of a ball hog. I think he just dribbles at the top of the key for a little bit, tries to shake his defender, and then travels and shoots a 3.
Well, at the same time, the thing with Harden is he shakes the defender so well. Like, you can't drop 40 a game and not be able to do that.
Yeah,
but you shake the defenders so well by getting away with a travel every time. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, you're right.
The gap on the defensive side of the ball is just, like, insurmountable in my opinion.
Yeah.
My vote goes to Giannis, but it's definitely close.
My vote goes to Giannis as well. What do you think, Noah?
This is one of the harder ones I've had to choose within the last couple years, but I'm gonna have to go Giannis.
All right, Devin.
I'll make it a queen's sleep. I'm going Giannis.
So I have this Bucks stat for y'all. They have the NBA's best record, and they're the 8th team in history with 45 double-digit wins in a season. And the previous 7, guess what? Went on to win the title.
So it sounds like a good omen.
Let's go Bucks. That's what I got to say.
All right, as we wrap up the show, I just wanted to kind of promote an opportunity, kind of a game we're hosting as a podcast. The NFL draft is coming up later this month. So as a podcast, we're going to be hosting a Predict the Pick game on NFL.com. So if you avid listeners would like to join us in making a mock first-round NFL draft and try to defeat the 4 of us, or none of us, depending on your competency, then we'd love to have you join our group. So you would just simply need to go to NFL.com, predict the pick, join the group. The group name is From the Sidelines. You will find the 4 corresponding hosts in the group. Just make your picks for the first round and join the group, and we'll post the results after the draft. We'll have the link on our Twitter account if you would like to use the invite link, reference it there. And so go ahead, leave a follow on our Instagram and our Twitter account at the FTS Pod. And if you have any comments, suggestion, or feedback, feel free to email us at theftspod@gmail.com.
Bye. Have a great
Bye.
time.
Have a
Bye, have a
great
great
time.
time.